Hey there! Today we're going to be doing a little project generating an array of random strings using Ruby. So earlier today I was implementing the sort method for array myself and looking at implementation my buddy made, and I wanted to do a benchmark of these. And to do a proper benchmark I wanted a large array of random strings to use for the benchmark. So I ended up writing a little class to take care of this, and it had some interesting pieces in it, so I thought it would make a good topic for today. So the pieces of generating an array of random strings are going to be obviously generating a random string, and for our purposes this will be a string between length of 1 and 10, alphanumeric characters only. And then for generating the array of these random strings, we're going to want to be able to create a variable length array. That is, when we ask for an array of random strings, we want to be able to pass it a fixed num that says how long we want this array to be, which is to say how many random strings we want inside of it. So let's get into it. So first let's take a look at generating our random strings. So we're going to want to have a length that is between 1 and 10. So to get this, we can do a number of things, but one of the easiest would be to get a random number, 10, pass 10 to rand, which this will return a fixed num from 0 to 9. So we're going to want to add 1 here to make sure that this is between 1 and 10. Now that we've got our random length getting generated with the rand function, let's start thinking about the characters that are going to make up our random string. So the way that I went about doing this is using a range, and you've probably seen a range before for numbers, something like this, and you can make an array. You can call .2a to make an array out of a range, but just as you can use fixed nums in an array, you can also use characters. So to see what this gets us here, let's call 2a on this. This is kind of hard to read, so we'll call join to convert this array to a string. And here we can see more clearly what we're getting. So the thing with the way that characters work is that capital letters come before lowercase. So if we do capital A to Z, we get all of the letters and some special characters in there as well. But if we go back even further to the character 0, we get all of the alphanumeric characters, but some special characters as well that we'll have to get rid of here in a bit. And one other interesting thing to note, if you're dealing with a single character, you can actually use question mark followed by the character, and this will give you the string. So question mark Z will give you the character Z. So we can shorten this up a little bit line-wise to this and get the same result. This is arguably less readable, but it's also worth noting that it's syntactically possible. So now that we've got this collection of characters with some special characters in it, let's get rid of the special characters that we don't want. And we can do this with something like a select or reject and pass a block and describe what we wanted, but there's a grep method on array that lets you pass a regular expression in, and it will filter for just things that match that regular expression. And here we just want word characters, and we get back all of the characters that we want doing this, except that we also have an underscore in here, which I was fine with, so I'm just going to go with this array of strings. And it turns out that grep is also defined on ranges, so we can get rid of this 2a call and shorten this up to just grep to get the exact same string. So at this point we have our character array all set and ready to go. So next we'll need a way to take length number of characters out of the chars array, and more specifically that number of random characters out of the chars array. So to do the random portion, Let's take a quick look at the shuffle method. You can call shuffle on an array to randomly change the order of the characters inside. We can pair this shuffle method with the take method, which takes a fixed num argument and describes the number of characters that we want to take from the beginning of the array. Since we're doing the shuffle, we really don't care if it's from the beginning or the end. It could be any part in the array, so it doesn't particularly matter that take takes the first n characters or n elements from the beginning of an array in our case, but that is how it works. So the combination will look like this. And with our length of 8, let's shuffle chars and take length number of characters from it. This will give us a random smattering of characters, and if we call join on the resulting array, we get our random string. And this completes our random string generation. So let's take the logic that we've written so far and put it in a .rb file. If you look on the left, you can see that we're up through line 39 in pry. So let's jump back to the shell and output the last 39 lines of pry history to a file named randomstring.rb. And let's open that up and give me a minute to grab what we need. Alright, so there we've got it. This is our logic for generating a random string, but we're going to want to be able to reuse this to move on to the next step of generating an array of these random strings. So let's take this logic and put it inside of its own class. Random string, which inherits from string, and we'll need a definitionalize, and we can take this and put it inside here. The character generation, this is fine if this is a constant, because we won't need to generate these each time we generate a new random string. It's fine to have, just one copy of this array, so let's move that up into the class itself. We'll also then need to change this reference to be the constant. We won't need to take any variables, and instead of setting this to a variable, we'll want to pass this to super, so that this random string generated by our logic is returned for the random string.new call that we're going to have in a minute. So to test this out, let's generate a new random string and output it, jump back to the terminal and try running this, and sure enough, we get some random strings back. So for the array generation, I decided that I wanted a class method named gimme on random string that I can pass a fixed num to and get back that number of random strings. So let's go ahead and implement this up here. And since we wanted to do something count number of times, my first implementation looked something like this, where I was going to do count times do. I would have an array to collect everything, I would return the array, and inside here I would shovel new objects onto the array. Since this is a class method, self here in this context is equal to the class, which is to say it's equal to random string. And so because of that, we can just get rid of the class call and just call new here to call randomstring.new. This three-step process always bothers me though. When you have some kind of collection that you start, you shovel onto it or perform some kind of operation and then you return it. Instead you could do array new tap do array and do this, and the tap call returns the array, and inside you can mutate it. So inside of this tap block we can do the count to accomplish the same thing. So let's see what this gets us. Alright, we got our random strings. So this works. It works, but it kind of bothered me because I felt like there had to be a cleaner way of doing this. And after thinking about it a bit, I remembered that the array constructor will take an argument, and you can pass it a fixed num, and it will create an array with that many elements in it. I went on to try doing this and then mapping over each of these nils and setting them to the random string. And then this map felt kind of redundant because the nils shouldn't be set in the first place. And this made me remember, though I've never much used this, that you can actually pass a block in addition to a fixed num to the array constructor and get the exact same thing. So this whole method right here can be reduced from this to this. And there you have it. And while we're tightening things up here, we can kind of break out some of our logic into some private methods. For example, random length would be a good one to have, as this length up here would be better served in a method with an intention revealing name such as random length. And this is a bit of a mess as well. This functionality could be described as random characters. So let's put that down here in its own intention revealing method. And rerun it again. And we've broken something. Length here is self.length, which is the random string length. And I forgot to change this. This should be random length. Run it again, and we're back. So that does it for today. We got to look at some interesting things like random functionality in Ruby, generating random numbers, and methods like shuffle and take for arrays. Got to see some interesting stuff for the array constructor, and also some interesting ways of defining single character strings and using ranges to generate arrays of characters. So that's it. I hope you found today's episode interesting. If you have any questions or episode requests, please leave those in the comments below or tweet at me at ForkBabam. And if you'd like to subscribe for download access to all of the episodes or to support the show, please visit the Gumroad link in the show notes below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. But it's also worth noting that it's syntactically possible.